been to Gettysburg? How many actually taken a tour of Gettysburg with a licensed volunteer guide? Licensed. He has to be licensed in order to get paid, in order to be somebody who can take you on the battlefield. Now, how many of you actually saw the movie Gettysburg? Okay. For those of you who didn't, you missed a great movie. To give you a little history on Gettysburg real quickly before we get to the visitor center is, a few weeks prior to the actual Battle of Gettysburg, they had a battle around Chancellorsville and Fredericksburg. At that time, the general in charge was General Hooker, and he turned out to be not so great for the Union side. But you also have to realize that if you're a Confederate soldier or Confederate general, you're fighting on your side of the fence. So you have a vested interest in taking care of the house. When General Lee decided to move into the northern part, the Union side, it was the only time that they did during the war in mass. So since I'm a history student, I read a lot about it, but when you're ever sitting and reading something, have you ever noticed that you can read about it, but unless you actually see it, it doesn't necessarily have meaning for you? So one of my goals in life, one of my bucket list things was going to Gettysburg. So 2 months ago, we took off for Gettysburg and the Amish country and a few other places. And I really wanted to see what it was all about. I wanted to feel it. I wanted to smell it. I wanted to touch it. I wanted to know what it was that both sides, all Americans, to fight in a battle and the outcome. One of the beauties of going to Gettysburg and having the individual, this particular guy is Gary Roach, and I would encourage you, if you ever go to Gettysburg, pay the $55 for the 2 hours. These guys have all been certified. They've taken extensive tests in order to qualify for it. He's probably one of the best. And the reason he's one of the best is his great-great-grandfather won one of the original first-time Medal of Honors. So this guy has a lot of history, has a lot to teach you. So what you do is a week or two before you get there, you call up, there's a number that you can call. You can try and get whoever you want to get, but I would encourage you to do at least a week in advance, and then pick a time. It's a 2-hour trip. They drive your car, pay them $55. We got so engrossed with this guy that we did 3 hours, and when we did $60, and he was tickled pink. He just thought it was so good that somebody would be so enthralled what was going on around Gettysburg. When you get to Gettysburg, the information center is beautiful. It's just an outstanding building. Inside they have all kinds of exhibits. You pay $8, $9, $10. You go in, you have a little presentation that Morgan Freeman does. Then you go upstairs to the diorama. This has been completely redone, and it's huge. You get up there, they got the sounds, they got everything going. And it kind of gives you a sense of the battle, but you're still not there. So that afternoon, when we got introduced to Gary, we went out. He's taking us out. He's kind of gives us a little background as you're driving into Gettysburg. You can see little pock marks where the bullets had hit the sides of the buildings. The buildings have little plaques on them telling they're original to Gettysburg. You hang a left, go up the road. You see where General Lee had his headquarters during the battle. You get down to McPherson's barn. That's where we start. You get out of the car. It's raining. I'm wearing shorts and I'm going, I can't stand this. And I have my camera out and I'm trying to take pictures of all of these different monuments and everything like that. And Gary says, if you're going to be here tomorrow, don't do it now. Let me tell a story and you just absorb what's going on. And for the next 3 hours, we visited different sites, followed the battle from one side to the other, and got a little touch, a little feel, a little smell, a little history of what was going on. One of the little factoids a lot of people don't know about is where they have the monument over to the left of the battlefield for both the North and South soldiers, there's an eternal flame. When President Kennedy was there, the year before he was assassinated, that became Jacqueline Kennedy's idea for his perpetual monument. So that eternal flame comes from that particular monument, that idea, that concept. Now when you're coming back, we were along what they call Seminary Ridge. That's where the Confederates were. Across the field and up the hill is Cemetery Ridge, and that's where the Union soldiers were. Now, if you look at the map would show you that the Union forces were like a huge fish hook. It's driven like Tim's little fishing boat. They covered the high ground. There's an axiom in the military. He who controls the high ground will control the battle. Doesn't mean you're always going to win, but you will control the battle. It becomes a set piece. General Lee had all of his troops there, but the one important thing that he did not have in Gettysburg was Jim Stewart, his cavalry officer. He was off over the mountains doing whatever he was doing. Didn't get back to the third day. By then, he became a non-entity. One of the things that you realize when you're at Seminary Ridge and you're looking back across, it's over a mile. Confederate soldiers on that day, it was hot, it was humid, dusty, and these guys had to face those 100 and some odd guns of the Union soldiers. All the guys up there were Confederate were firing. Now, if you saw the movie, they don't show you the fences. They had to get over these fences to get to the Union lines. And as they were trying to get over them, they were losing their organization. And in doing so, they were getting nailed. That's the polite way of saying they were getting murdered. The funny thing about it is, from all of the Pickett's charge, all of the people that supposedly died there was over 4,000 Confederate soldiers who surrendered. They didn't go over the last fence. They stayed behind it because the fire was so murderous. As you go back along and you're facing the right side of the Confederate line is always the left side of the Union line. We all remember Little Round Top. Well, if you saw the movie, they kept moving down the line. When you're up there, Little Round Top, looking down, it's amazing that they even got as close as they did. You're up there, you're looking on these boulders. There's bushes and branches and brambles. And those poor Confederate soldiers had to go up the hill and get over this in order to fight. And then obviously at the end where they do the bayonet charge and go down the hill and take all the prisoners. But you have to be there. You have to feel it. You have to see it. Because if you don't, it's just words on a piece of paper. It's lines that show you all these different troops and all this. Now you may say, well, what's that to me? Our friend from Long Island, he has history. How many lived on the East Coast? You know what I'm talking about. We have history. In California, what do we have? We have a couple of Dolby buildings and they fall down in the rain. Nothing against our Spaniard friends, but let's face it, it's what it is. Back there, that's where the history is, and that's where I like to be. Thank you.